Listen to me carefully. You can never step into your future if you are still dragging the chains of your past. The old version of you, full of fear, doubt, and excuses, cannot live in the new dimension that God designed for you. If you keep holding on to the old you, the new you will never be born. Life is not about what happened yesterday. It is about the power of who you can become today. The truth is simple. If you don't let go of the old, you cannot embrace the new. Your past is not your identity. It is only a chapter in the book of your life, not the whole story. Too many people carry the burden of yesterday into the opportunities of today. They walk around wearing the labels others gave them: failure, unworthy, not good enough. But let me tell you this, your past may explain you, but it does not define you. Your identity is far greater than your history. Think about it. A person who once fell in schools does not spend the rest of their life crawling. They rise, they walk, they run. Yet in life, many of us keep crawling emotionally because of an old moment of failure. We forget that falling once doesn't make us a permanent failure. It only proves we are human. Every failure is an event. It is never a person. And the problem is many of us confuse events with identity. Just because the business collapsed, you are not a collapsed person. Just because the relationship broke, you are not broken beyond repair. Just because you struggled yesterday, it doesn't mean you are meant to struggle forever. Identity is about design, not damage. A car that has been dented in an accident is still a car. It hasn't lost its identity because of the crash. Likewise, you are still who God designed you to be, even if life has dented you. Even if people have scarred you, even if failure has bruised you. You may look in the mirror and see damage, but destiny still sees design. And until you stop confusing your damage with your design, you will never rise into the fullness of who you were created to be. Take daily life as an example. Imagine you go shopping and you find a 100 bill crumpled on the ground. Maybe it's dirty, maybe it's wrinkled, maybe it's been stepped on. But would you throw it away? No, you'd pick it up because its value didn't change. That's exactly how your life is. You may have been crushed by circumstances, stepped on by people, crumpled by failures, but your value has not changed. You are still priceless, still valuable, still full of purpose. Don't let your past trick you into believing you are worth less than what you truly are. Here's the trap most people fall into. They allow the voices of yesterday to keep echoing into their tomorrow. Someone once told you you'll never make it. Someone once laughed at your dream. Someone once rejected you. And now, even though years have passed, you still hear those voices whispering when you're about to take a bold step. That's the old you speaking, the you that agreed with fear, the you that bowed to doubt, the you that thought their opinion was greater than your destiny. But the new you must silence voices because your identity is not in their words, it is in your design. Look at everyday life again. If a phone is dropped and the screen cracks, does it stop being a phone? No, it still has the ability to call, to connect, to function. Its design hasn't changed. Sometimes you go through life cracked, bruised, shaken, but your core purpose is still alive. You are still capable of rising higher, still capable of achieving greatness, still capable of living the life you were meant to live. The cracks are only proof that you've survived, not that you've been disqualified. The old you was built on survival. The old you believed the lie that this is all I will ever be. But the new you must rise with the truth that I am more than what I've been through. Your identity is not chained to the streets you grew up on, the family that didn't support you, the mistakes you made, or the jobs you lost. Your identity is in the blueprint of your life, the blueprint designed for greatness, expansion, influence, and impact. Think of a seed. A seed may be dropped in the dirt covered by soil and stepped on. To the casual eye, it looks buried, finished, forgotten. But in reality, that seed has not lost its identity. It is still a seed with the potential of a tree. In fact, being buried is what activates it. And in the same way, what you thought was burial in your life, those failures, those rejections, those delays, were actually planting seasons. You didn't lose your identity. You were just being positioned for growth. Too many people are living as prisoners of memory instead of vision. They spend their days replaying the pain of yesterday instead of preparing for the possibilities of today. But your past is only a picture. It is not a prophecy. Stop living like your best days are behind you. Your identity is calling you forward, not backward. When you begin to understand that your identity is greater than your history, something shifts in your thinking. You stop saying, I am a failure, and start saying, I failed, but I learned. You stop saying, I am broken, and stop saying, I was broken, but now I am healing. You stop saying, I am worthless, and start saying, I am valuable, no matter what I've been through. Or everyday life will try to convince you to wear the clothes of your past, shame, regret, guilt, fear. But identity whispers louder, you are more. Identity says, you are capable. Identity declares you are designed for more than what you've been through. And once you accept that truth, you become unstoppable because nothing from your history can hold hostage the future that belongs to your true identity. Imagine being invited to a royal banquet where kings, leaders, and influential people are gathering. The table is set with gold, the music is playing, and the doors are open for you. But you arrive in yesterday's clothes, dirty, wrinkled, and stained. You may have been invited, but you look out of place because you're dressed for where you were, not for where you're going. That is how many people live their lives. They are trying to step into tomorrow carrying the baggage, the habits, the attitudes, and the excuses of yesterday. And the truth is simple. You cannot wear yesterday's clothes and expect to walk into tomorrow's opportunities. Think about it in everyday life. If you worked all day at a construction site covered in dust and sweat, would you walk straight into a wedding ceremony wearing the same outfit? No. You would shower, change, and present yourself in alignment with the occasion. Yet in life, many people never change. They keep trying to step into new seasons with old mindsets. They want success, but they still think like failures. They want love, but they still carry the bitterness of rejection. They want abundance, but they still live with the scarcity mindset of the past. You cannot step into a new future with the same conversations you had yesterday. The friends who laughed at your dreams yesterday may not be the voices you need tomorrow. The habits that kept you small yesterday will choke the vision of tomorrow. The excuses that justified laziness yesterday will destroy your progress tomorrow. If you are serious about your destiny, you must strip yourself of yesterday's garments. Look at how life works. When a snake grows, it sheds its old skin. If it holds onto that old skin, it cannot grow, and eventually it suffocates. Many people are suffocating today, not because of outside enemies, but because they refuse to shed the old self. They are trying to grow inside clothes that no longer fit their destiny. You cannot expand your future while wearing the tight clothes of your past. Picture someone who finally gets promoted to a high corporate position, but still shows up with the mentality of the intern who once begged for a chance. They speak with hesitation. They doubt themselves. They still act like they don't belong. That's yesterday's clothing. And if they don't change, they will lose the very position they were promoted to. In the same way, life will not keep you in new levels if you keep acting like the old you. Take another example. Imagine you're moving into a brand new house, beautiful and spacious, with polished floors and high ceilings. But instead of bringing in fresh furniture, you drag in the old broken chairs, the torn couch, and the cracked table from your past home. Suddenly, that beautiful space feels like the old place you left. Why? Because you carried yesterday's belongings into today's opportunity. That's exactly what many people do with their lives. They pray for new beginnings, but they decorate them with old habits. Sometimes the hardest thing to leave behind is not failure, but comfort. Yesterday's comfort zone is one of the most dangerous outfits to keep wearing because it feels safe, it feels familiar, it feels like home. But what feels safe can also be the very thing strangling your growth. A bird cannot learn to fly if it never leaves the nest. A child cannot grow strong if they never stop drinking milk. And you cannot walk into your tomorrow if you are still wearing the clothes of yesterday's comfort. Think about fashion for a moment. Styles change, generations evolve. Imagine someone walking around today still dressed like it's 40 years ago, never updating, never changing. People would look at them strangely. Why? Because they are stuck in a time that has already passed. And that is what happens when you refuse to update your mindset. You are walking around in the world of tomorrow while your thinking is trapped in yesterday. Every new season requires a new version of you. The old vocabulary will not unlock the doors of tomorrow. The old relationships may not fit in the space you're being called to. The old habits will feel like weights when you try to climb higher. If you don't release them, they will drag you back to the ground. You cannot run a marathon wearing heavy winter boots. You need running shoes. Likewise, you cannot run into your destiny wearing the baggage of yesterday's mistakes, fears, and regrets. The truth is, life is progressive. You are not supposed to remain the same person year after year. Growth demands change, and change demands that you let go. The butterfly cannot emerge unless the caterpillar sheds its form. If it clings to the old, it will die in the cocoon. You, too, cannot utter your full potential if you cling to who you used to be. Yesterday's pain, yesterday's success, yesterday's image, none of it fits tomorrow's design. Every day, life asks you a question. Are you willing to change your clothes? Are you willing to drop the excuses, the fears, the grudges, the bitterness, the laziness, the doubt? Because tomorrow is waiting, but it will not open its doors until you show up dressed for it. Purpose will never allow you to remain the same. Purpose is demanding, and it pulls on the deepest parts of you until you either surrender to growth or collapse under the weight of resistance. The old version of you can survive, but it can never thrive because thriving requires transformation. The old you was built to maintain what was, but the new you must be formed to carry what is coming. Transformation is not about pretending to be better. It's about becoming what you were always designed to be. Think about it. A caterpillar can crawl its entire life, but within it is the destiny of a butterfly. Crawling may keep it alive, but it can never taste the freedom of the sky unless it undergoes the painful, hidden process of transformation. The cocoon is uncomfortable, tight, and dark, but without the cocoon, there is no flight. That is how purpose works. It will put you in seasons that feel constraining, seasons where you are being stretched, seasons where it feels like nothing is happening, but in reality, everything is happening. You are being transformed for a future your old self cannot handle. Transformation demands sacrifice. You cannot carry old habits into new heights. You cannot walk into bigger opportunities with small thinking. You cannot embrace abundance while holding onto a poverty mindset. Transformation is not a luxury, it is a requirement. If you want to step into your purpose, you must be willing to let go of who you were yesterday. And that is where many people get stuck. They want the reward of transformation without the pain of change. They want the butterfly's wings without enduring the cocoon. Look at daily life. Imagine someone who wants to build a strong, healthy body but refuses to change their diet, refuses to exercise, refuses to leave behind junk food. They pray for strength, but they cling to weakness. That is how many live with purpose. They desire greatness, but they hold on to comfort. They want expansion, but they refuse discipline. They want transformation, but they avoid the very process that brings it. But you must understand, purpose demands that you rise above convenience. Purpose will stretch you until you grow into the capacity of your destiny. Consider a student in school. At the beginning, they may struggle with simple math. But if they remain at that level, they will never progress to higher equations, never reach engineering, never step into advanced knowledge. Each level requires transformation, new study habits, new focus, new discipline. If the student insists on holding on to the old version of themselves, they will remain stuck at the same level forever. Life is the same. Purpose promotes you only when you transform. Transformation is not always external. It is internal first. You can change your clothes, change your car, change your address, but if you don't change your mindset, you will still live the same life in different packaging. True transformation begins in the mind. The way you think about yourself, about your abilities, about your future. This is the engine of destiny. If you think small, you will live small. If you think limited, you will live limited. But if you think with vision, discipline, and courage, you align yourself with the future your purpose has already prepared. Life gives constant reminders of transformation. Consider technology. The phone you held 10 years ago cannot handle today's apps, today's software, today's speed. It must be updated. If it refuses to be updated, it becomes slow, ineffective, and eventually useless. Your life is the same. If you refuse the updates of transformation, you become outdated, irrelevant, and ineffective in the world you are meant to impact. Transformation is God's way of updating you for the assignment ahead. Even in relationships, transformation is required. You cannot keep treating people with the immaturity of yesterday and expect to build healthy bonds tomorrow. You cannot lead with insecurity and expect to inspire confidence. You cannot demand loyalty when you refuse to transform into someone worthy of trust. Purpose shapes you through transformation into the person who can carry influence with integrity. Look at the athlete. They may start with natural talent, but natural talent alone is never enough. To become world class, they must transform. They train daily, discipline their bodies, strengthen their weaknesses, and sharpen their strengths. Without transformation, their gift remains average. With transformation, their gift becomes exceptional. And so it is with you. You may have natural gifts, but until you submit them to the fire of transformation, you will never see their highest potential. The truth is, transformation is often uncomfortable because it breaks routines and challenges comfort zones. The old you wants to stay safe, but purpose demands that you step into risk. The old you wants to hide, but purpose demands that you shine. The old you wants to blend in, but purpose demands that you stand out. Transformation is the bridge between mediocrity and greatness, between surviving and thriving, between existing and truly living. What you must realize is that transformation is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle. Every new season of your life will require a new version of you. Who you were 5 years ago cannot carry the responsibilities you have today. And who you are today cannot carry the opportunities waiting for you tomorrow. If you refuse to transform, you will miss the doors purpose has already opened because the old you cannot fit through them. Transformation enlarges you, prepares you, equips you, and qualifies you to handle what is coming. Purpose will never apologize for demanding transformation. It will stretch you beyond your limits, break your excuses, and expose your weaknesses, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you stronger. It will make you uncomfortable so you can outgrow your comfort. It will demand your discipline, your patience, your faith, your courage, because only then will you become the version of yourself that can carry the weight of destiny. Nothing in life changes until you decide it will. People wait for circumstances to shift, for opportunities to fall into their lap, for someone to rescue them. But the truth is, transformation begins with a decision. You can pray for change. You can dream of change. You can even talk about change. But until you decide deep within yourself that you are done with the old and ready for the new, nothing will move. The new you will never be born by accident. It will only come alive by decision. Think about daily life. A person who wants to get healthy knows what to do. They know they need to eat better, exercise, and rest. But knowledge alone does not change anything. They can buy the gym membership, read the books, even watch the workout videos, but until they decide to get up, put on their shoes, and take that first step, nothing happens. Decision is the birthplace of transformation. Without decision, information is powerless. Without decision, opportunity is wasted. Without decision, potential remains potential. Every great achievement begins with a moment when someone drew a line in the sand and said, "Enough is enough. I refuse to live the same way." That moment of decision separates the drifters from the leaders, the dreamers from the doers, the survivors from the overcomers. And the same applies to you. Until you decide that the old you is finished, you will always go back to it. Decision is like closing a door and throwing away the key. Once you make it, there is no turning back. Consider a person addicted to bad habits. They may want freedom, they may talk about freedom, they may even cry about freedom. But true freedom begins the day they decide that they are no longer going to tolerate what has been destroying them. Decision is powerful because it changes the direction of your life instantly. The moment you say, "I will not live this way any longer," your mind begins to search for ways to create the future you have chosen. But until you decide, your mind will always justify where you are. Life responds to decisions. When you decide to grow, you start noticing opportunities to grow. When you decide to forgive, you start finding strength to release bitterness. When you decide to build, you start seeing resources you never noticed before. Decision opens your eyes to possibilities that were invisible when you were undecided. Think of a ship sitting at the harbor. It may be equipped with powerful engines, strong sails, and a skilled crew, but until the captain decides to set sail, it will sit in the same spot for years. Your life can be the same. You may have gifts, ideas, vision, and resources, but if you never decide to move, you will remain anchored in the same place, watching others sail into their destiny while you wait for perfect conditions. Decision is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about choosing to move even when the sea is uncertain. In daily life, we see this truth again and again. A student cannot graduate until they decide to study. An entrepreneur cannot succeed until they decide to start. A relationship cannot heal until someone decides to forgive. A family cannot move forward until someone decides to break the cycle. Nothing changes until someone decides. What holds many people back is fear. They fear the unknown. They fear failure. They fear leaving what is familiar. But decision is stronger than fear. The moment you decide, courage begins to rise. The moment you decide, doors begin to open. Fear loses its grip when you make a decision that your life will no longer be governed by it. Look at the farmer. He can look at his land all day, dream of a harvest, and even talk about how fertile the soil is. But until he decides to plant the seed, nothing will grow. That is the power of decision. It is the act of planting. And just like a farmer's harvest begins with one choice, your future begins with one decision. The old you loves delay. The old you says, "I'll change tomorrow. I'll start later. I'll wait until it feels right." But the new you is only born when you say, "No more waiting, no more excuses. Today I choose to live differently." Decision doesn't mean you have all the answers. It simply means you've committed to finding them. Decision doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're tired of letting fear win. Decision doesn't mean the journey will be easy. It means the journey has finally begun. Every person who ever rose to greatness had to make a defining decision. They had to decide to leave behind comfort, to leave behind the old version of themselves, to step into something uncertain but greater. And that is the same invitation life is giving you today. The new you is waiting, but it cannot be born until you decide. Listen carefully, because this is where everything I've said comes together. You cannot walk into the tomorrow that belongs to you if you are still clinging to the yesterday that tried to break you. You cannot step into the new life designed for you if you keep entertaining the version of yourself that was never meant to last. The old you was built for survival, but the new you is built for destiny. The old you carried excuses, but the new you carries solutions. The old you lived in fear, but the new you walks in courage. There comes a moment when you must rise and declare, "This is it. This is the turning point. I will not be defined by what happened to me. I will be defined by what I choose to become." Life will never hand you freedom. You must claim it. Life will never deliver greatness on a silver platter. You must decide to grow into it. Every legend you admire, every leader you respect, every dreamer who became a doer, at some point looked fear in the eye and said, "You will not stop me. My decision is final." You've got to understand this. Your past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. Stop building houses in seasons you were only supposed to pass through. Stop setting up camp in valleys you were meant to walk out of. Stop giving permanent power to temporary pain. The new you cannot breathe if the old you keeps dragging chains around its neck. When the world says you are not enough, the new you rises and declares, "I am more than enough." When the enemy of your mind whispers that you cannot make it, the new you answers, "Watch me rise." When life tries to lock the door in your face, the new you says, "I am the key." This is not empty talk, it is a mindset. Because once you truly believe that you are bigger than your history, you become unstoppable. There will always be challenges. There will always be opposition. There will always be moments that make you want to retreat back into the old you because the old you feels safe. The old you feels familiar. But never forget this. The comfort zone is where dreams go to die. The old you is satisfied with comfort, but the new you is hungry for growth. The old you bowed to pressure, but the new you is fueled by pressure. Diamonds are made under pressure, and so are destinies. This is your moment to decide. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when the time feels right. The only time you own is now. The clock of destiny does not wait for the undecided. While you hesitate, someone else is taking the opportunity. While you hesitate, someone else is building the future. While you hesitate, someone else is stepping into the life you wish you had. Do not let hesitation rob you of the life you were designed to live. Say it with conviction, I leave the old me behind. I walk away from fear, from doubt, from excuses, from regret. I embrace discipline. I embrace vision. I embrace destiny. Say it until it sinks deep into your spirit. Because once you believe it, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not rejection, not delay, not even the scars of your past. Your life is too valuable to waste replaying old chapters. The book is not finished. The story is not over, and the pen is still in your hand. The next pages are waiting for you to write them with boldness, not with hesitation. Every single day you wake up, you are given another blank page. Stop rewriting the same story of regret and fear. Start writing the story of courage, faith, and breakthrough. Remember this, ships were not built to stay tied at the shore. They were built to sail. And you were not built to remain tied to the old version of yourself. You were built to move, to expand, to break boundaries, to enter new horizons. You are more powerful than you think, more gifted than you realize, more resilient than you believe. The only question is, will you leave the shore of the old you and set sail into the ocean of the new you? So rise up, stand tall, shake off the dust of yesterday, walk out of the prison of your past and step into the palace of your potential. The world has been waiting for the new you to emerge. The world has been waiting for your voice, your gift, your vision, your impact. Do not let them wait any longer. The time is now. The choice is yours. The new you is here.